All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Asay. I'm the Executive Director of Jase Response. I'm also a military veteran and a physician assistant, as well as a veteran first responder. I am here to present to you our weekly Homeland Threat Assessment in conjunction with Jase and our Jase Response nonprofit, where we provide you with the information that you need to keep your family, your friends, your neighborhood, your community safer. So this threat assessment will be a weekly publication. We're just going to talk about a few of the current events that are changing the risks that we have here in the United States, and just a few things that you can do each week to be more prepared. Right now, we're really worried about Iran and the war in the Middle East. Well, is that really changing the risks we have here in the United States? It depends on which risk you're talking about. So we do have a risk to our cybersecurity and our financial systems because they're so reliant on IT, as well as our energy infrastructure. So recognizing that the Iranians are very good at what they do when it comes to cyber technology and cyber attacks. So there is credible evidence that we will see some attacks to our infrastructure in that regard. So understanding what you can do to keep yourself safe by having multi-factor authentication, by having your passwords changed periodically, by keeping them in a safe space, by keeping your financial records off of the cloud and someplace safe, either in hard copy or in on a USB drive, or both for that matter, and having backups to all of those things. Also knowing how to get into your accounts through a variety of measures, whether it's on an app on your phone, getting on your computer, or actually physically going down to the bank and accessing your accounts there, knowing what you need to walk into the bank to be able to prove who you are and then be able to access your finances. Also, what if your bank stops funding things, or for some whatever reason is unable to provide your access to your accounts? Well, having a supply of rainy day fund that would be in the form of currency, so cash, money, or goods that could be traded in the case of an event where you needed to do that. But it's recommended that you have at least a few days of your daily expenses, better yet, a week. And in fact, it's recommended that you have really a month supply of, um, of money to provide for your needs. Now, there are other threats that we need to recognize that are more direct, more physical. While there isn't a necessarily credible intelligence that the Iranian sleeper cells or proxy attacks have gone up here in the United States, we do have that baseline risk of extremists, whether they're ideologically driven by religion or political lean. It doesn't really matter. We do know that there are a significant number of them in this country that are just waiting for the opportunity, maybe not necessarily because they're being driven by a leadership, but because they choose to act on their own, because they have an emotional reason to increase chaos and anarchy. So understanding that while we do have a baseline of, we know there are 18,000 individuals that are in this country in some form of a sleeper capacity, that there are plenty more that also thrive on this ideologically driven desire to attack the public. So how can you be ready for that? Well, understanding the concepts of situational awareness, being ready to react, but also recognizing when a baseline has changed in your environment and acting before that threat actually occurs. So noticing when something's off and then being able to leave the area, what we call getting off the X. So having your skills at being able to recognize baseline, you can do that by spending 10 or 15 minutes in all the places that you frequent every day, and just getting an idea and a feel for what's the level of emotion that's generally there. Are people moving quickly to and fro, or are they relatively relaxed? What's the baseline noise level? Recognizing where there's exits and avenues of escape. From a first aid standpoint, being ready to respond. So if somebody has a traumatic accident, whether it's from a gunshot wound, a stabbing, or just an accident, like a car accident, knowing how to stop the bleed, knowing how to apply a tourniquet, and being able to access those tools because you have them on you. We provide a monthly webinar that goes over the skills that are needed to be able to respond with competence to those kind of events, and it's highly recommended that you check those out. But you can also go to the Red Cross or Stop the Bleed and learn those skills as well. So thank you for listening. This is this week's first installment of the Homeland Threat Assessment. Next week we'll be covering all the things that happened between then and now. Hopefully it's nothing, probably will be. And if there's anything specific that you want me to cover on these weekly updates, please list them in the comments and I'd be happy to bring them up or talk about them. So thanks for joining us and see you next week.